It will be hard to categorize an iRacing season with an unofficial theme, but I'm pretty sure the 15th season of the Highline Racing League might just have one, celebrating the past with the cars of the future. Alan Kuhlman going to be one of the first drivers you see tonight, and you can see here in the Services and Supplies Southern 150, well, the throwback schemes are in full force. This is our season throwback race, and Alan Kuhlman representing a Dale Earnhardt Jr. throwback with the VisitTirePros.com number 8 machine compared to the Mountain 288 of NASCAR fame that Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran just about a decade ago. Caleb Morrissey, the number 6 machine with his classic scheme. Dylan Clark with a Terry Labonte Fireball Talks NASCAR throwback there on the frame for the first time tonight. Dylan Clark with the hot drivers in this series, winning at Watkins Glen very recently. Terry Brooks in frame himself, and that's going to be Connor Holden with a Steve Park DEI throwback with a Pennzoil stripes, black and yellow. The yellow jacket there is Brad Crescent, number 29, throwing it back to the retiring Kevin Harvick. And a bit of a throw forward because at North Wilkesboro, he'll be running a scheme much like the one you see on your screen, ran by the number 29 machine in that Chevy Camaro. Alan Kuhlman at the moment, fastest man on the board for 111 laps, or otherwise 150 miles from Darlington and South Carolina's Lady in Black, one of the hardest tracks to drive here in the iRacing circuit. It's going to be 1.33 miles every lap, and at speeds of over 165 miles an hour up to about 173, getting down to that back straightaways exit. Well, you're going to need every ounce of that power. Kuhlman right now fastest on the board by 1/10 of a second. Scott Withers this time by your defending champion with the Kurt Busch throwback to the Carolina Dodge Dealers 400, the Southern Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. Well, this time by, he's not 2,000 back, but he is still in second, 96 thousandths adrift from your provisional pole sitter there in the second spot. Dylan Clark going to be coming around this time by. He'll be fourth on the board, 2/10 back as Corey Blevins makes it up into 9th. Connor Holden holds on for 7th, and Jason Harris in the number 88 machine throws it back to Dale Jarrett with a Ford number 88 machine. Robert Yates Racing, a great time for them when they ran that paint scheme in the NASCAR Cup Series, getting home with a championship in 1999, as Chance Duckworth does not have a throwback tonight, but I'm certain that the number 28 machine has its history with Robert Yates as well. 31 going to come down to the back this time by a nice and smooth run for the Body Shop number 31, but it almost looks like an Aaron's number 15 from Michael Waltrip's camp, and the Napa signage on the quarter panels makes me think it's a bit similar to that one. We'll see as the night goes on, as Chad Winstead with the Valvoline number 34 as always, but with a twist, looking like Mark Martin's late 1990s paint schemes, and Martin, one of the all-time best in the 1990s. Well, Chad Winstead, one of the all-time best in this league. Well, if we say all-time, we mean the past few seasons, one of the newer drivers, but making himself well-known with the all-timers indeed, as Winstead rounds the back that time by 30.1 flat, the fastest lap at 29.2. You can see Adam Bozzi there in the number 27 machine. Looks like a bit of a unique scheme, one of the newer ones for him, but not going to be a throwback on first glance. Robert Kenny in the number 10, going to have another different scheme as well. Not going to be a throwback though, going to be a brand new Matt Moore Designs machine, a beautiful one nonetheless. It's going to be the driver 9 machine, your most recent winner from Dover with the Got Milk number 9, and that's a throwback to the way it was way back when, the number 9 machine, not with the driver who ran it in the original era of that paint scheme, but Got Milk, an iconic sponsorship for the late 90s, early 2000s, a program to, of course, encourage the use and the consumption of milk throughout the United States of America, and an iconic sign with an iconic phrase. The Black Rifle Coffee number 76 machine gonna make his way through. That's Jacob Hom returning from surgery, and great to have him back indeed. Pineapple 999, thank you for stopping by as we get this one going. Matthew Rodriguez in the number 51 on the track for the first time himself, and that number 51 shining bright with the sunset, as it's gonna be, it looks like a brand new paint scheme as well, the Steak and Shake number 51, perfectly blending with a sunset setting in Darlington. James McKee now 86 thousandths off of his pole position, but the man who's got pole, it's going to be Alan Kuhlman, as it looks like qualifying going to be all but over this time through, and Alan Kuhlman will lead them in to your starting grid as we get your qualifying results up on your screen. Give us just a moment's time as we will get them up on the board in just a moment indeed. and Darlington Raceway packed. The virtual stands are, and we hope you enjoy tonight's broadcast. If you don't know, and if you're just tuning in, I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast from the broadcast booth. I am David Kreutz. I hope you enjoy all of tonight's aspects of production, as I'll be on for the production side and from the commentary. We love to have you here, and your support means the world. So if you enjoyed this one, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, it's going to be Alan Koopman already on the track, so let's get into it, as he's going to beat us to the punch there. And it's going to be your services and supplies Southern 150, led up with the man in that number 8 machine, Alan Koopman, with 29.288. Going to be pole position, right beside him, Jason McKee, his teammate, with a 29.375. Scott Wheeler going to be third on the board with 29.384. Casey Heschel going to be in fourth with a 29.398. And Kendall Kerr rounds out the top 5 with a 29.45. Adam Bozzi going to be sixth on the night, 29.468. Tyler Rush going to be in a rush. He's going to make it up into that 29.472 rank. He's going to be 7th on the board. Dylan Clark going to be right beside him, though, and he will have a 29.497 himself. It's going to be Caleb Morrissey with a 29.498 in ninth, and Brad Crescent 10th, 29.519 for the man who rounds out your top 10 here in Darlington. From there on out, 11th is going to be Dylan Petit with a 29.552. Connor Holden going to be there in 12th with a 29.618. Robert Kenny going to be there with 29.635 in 13th. And rounding out the outside of your 7th row, going to be Chad Winstead, 29.648. Jacob Hobb going to be 15th with a 29.675. And Ryan Potter, 16th on the board himself. And it's going to be a big one for him. He's going to be a 29.682. And it looks like it might be a little too young for that throwback there, and I'll have to check it out. Matthew Rodriguez, a beautiful paint scheme nonetheless. Corey Blevins going to be there with 29.708. Chance Duckworth with a 29.723. And Colton Gardner going to have a 29.805 in 19th. And Terry Brooks rounds out your top 20, 29.864. And then from there on out, Jason Harris going to be 21st with a 29.897. Matthew Rodriguez going to be 30th. Well, not at all. 30.543 for him, though, in 22nd. And on the inside of row number 12, going to be Kenny Brooks with 31.033. Your final man with a time lap, as Roberto Ramirez is going to be 24th. And then Justin Gibbs going to be in 25th. Andrew Baker, 26th. Dalton Beer going to be in position number 27. And Dylan Body in 28th. To round out your field here in Darlington, and that's going to be your starting grid for tonight's event, the Services and Supplies Southern 150, as we get this one underway. Teammates out in front, and Darlington, a more than a mile circuit, one of the fastest of which, as you're going at about 170 because you use that banking on the high side of the circuit all night long. Darlington Raceway used to have the inside line as the preferred groove. The original intention for that high banked outside line to save drivers from going off the track and out of bounds in the racing circuit. They tried to go up there, then go all the way back down to get back to racing. But immediately in the first Southern 500, every driver found out that the Lady in Black is best used up high. And that is when the high side became oh so dominant, and here in the Highline Racing League, I am sure that that pattern will follow us here and now. The Southern 150 led by Alan Koopman, and it's going to be a Southern-born driver who's throwing it back to Dale Jr. Let's see if we can replicate that success of Hendrick Motorsports. 1-2 for the Chevys out in front as we go green, green, green in the Southern 150 here in the Highline Racing League. Alan Koopman with a dominating start already. Look at the way he gets off of that turn. He's already got 2 tenths on the field. Make that 6. And his teammate James McKee gonna have to battle back later on. First lap taken by storm. It's gonna be Koopman out in front of James McKee, and the sunlight is glimmering all over Darlington here, and we'll try to get an angle where that does not affect the viewing experience all too much, because the sunlight, while beautiful in its final few laps, it's going to be dying out that effect, but you can see that as they get down to the back straightaway, sometimes it's brighter, sometimes it's darker. It all depends on our camera angles here, as certainly down the front straightaway, things become a bit more of an orangish hue, and Alan Koopman makes it so. Still out in front by about a half a second over James McKee. McKee gets a bit squirrely that time by, gonna try to keep it going, and now Scott Wheeler gets right to him. Battle for second. It might already be brewing here as the 9 machine holds on, and right behind him gonna be the Scott Wheeler machine, the beautiful Sharpie number 97, staying sharp right on that back bumper. The number 9 machine's got some pressure here, and Wheeler keeps it right intact. And the 97 for Rubbermaid going to go all the way up like a rubber band and elastic he's been, and he's going to get right back on it. Kendall Curran, the number 21 machine, going to be fifth on the charts already. Great run for him so far as a number 21 with a much different look. Going to be using that Penske font tonight, and it's going to be the Iron number 21. Looking to be the Iron Man here tonight as he's now in the top 5, running very strong so far. And as every driver getting into it, Dylan Clark going to be in 24th, Justin Gibbs in 23rd. The entirety of the field, as it stands, appears to be in a single file formation, and that's because Darlington is a one-groove track. It's awful hard to make passes here. You can see the sunlight beaming onto the dashboard for the number 72 machine, Tyler Rush. He's absolutely in a rush here, but it's going to be hampered by that lack of visibility. You think in iRacing, everyone has clear skies all the time? Well, not only are we getting rain very soon, it's going to be much harder for these drivers to see what's going on. As you can see, it's going to be a black stripe for Rush as the visibility, it all but fades away entirely, and the 72 now getting pressured from Brad Crest. Caleb Morrison right there as well, and double file they're all going as the number 6 machine now looking to put the pressure on 2 drivers at once as the sun beams by every driver. The number 29 goes out of the inside line on Brad Crest. And Caleb Morrissey, a winner at Nashville already this season, making himself known as he's got 2 drivers to chase in on. Closer and closer he gets time after time. One driver all the way down to the inside line here in this battle. That's going to be Scott Wheeler. No, it's going to be Roberto Ramirez. And Ramirez is already 5 laps down here. Not the start he wanted. And he's going to be in a lot of trouble in that number 42. Taking it in once again, the JBL number 42 has himself a flamed up scheme, and you can see the flames on the front of it. And right now, it's not a fire race for him, if we're using some slang there, but it still is going to be something he can recover if the night goes on, and we might get a few cautions. But this league, very clean. Last race we had, about the same length in terms of time. Well, we only had 1 caution, and James McKee came out on top. This race has about 25 more miles on it, but the race length due to the faster circuit will be about the same in terms of time. So we'll see if we do get another caution or if we keep this one caution free, as right now the number 8 machine doing it like it all used to be for the driver of the number 8 himself in Dale Jr. leading in front of a very competitive field here. And Josh Berry, who ran the number 8 machine in the Xfinity Series last season, coming home with a throwback race himself, and that was a great run for him, but it was not a throwback to his Hendrick days for Dale Jr. It was a throwback to the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated era. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran for 2 teams in his NASCAR Cup Series career, one of which, of course, being Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, and later into his career following 2008, ended up going to Hendrick Motorsports, and that's where he began his partnership with Mountain Dew and the Pepsi Company. Now, Pepsi has all but stepped out of the sport entirely. It appears they made some minor appearances following their departure from Hendrick Motorsports. For the most part, the Mountain Dew brand is all but gone, and what an unfortunate situation it is to be in for Mountain Dew, missing out on a great legacy of winners and champions. Darrell Walter, of course, being sponsored by the man in that number 88. When he was the man of the 88, it was Mountain Dew on his back bumper and his side for, of course, not Hendrick Motorsports, but at that time, it was Dyegard Racing the way to go for the 88, and they even used to field extra cars to make sure Darrell Walter would get his championship wins in. Now, that time, Riverside was the season finale, and they'd have to get some extra cars to make sure that a driver like Waltrip would get that championship win. So sometimes they'd hire underdog drivers like Jimmy Means or J.D. McDuffie to start the race and pick up last place points to secure championship wins for drivers in the Winston Cup era. Of course, on iRacing, that is not a phenomenon that we see at all. And not only because it will be a bit of a challenge to prepare a whole other car when these are fixed setups, but at the same time, teams don't randomly assign drivers like that anymore. It's a much more formulaic process here in the NASCAR world, and it's sort of transferred over into the eNASCAR world, as we see now drivers fighting for hundreds of thousands of dollars in the eNASCAR world. In the Coke Series, they have to go through the Road to Pro ladder, so it's a whole different way of doing it. But tonight, we throw it back to the way it once was, and right now, Brad Crescent, the 29, goes out of the inside line on the Tyler Rush machine, and it's going to be Darlington Ace in number 29, and Brad Crescent making it so. And Kevin Harvick, he's doing that number 29 machine proud. Harvick, a longtime veteran, the only driver remaining for the era of Dale Earnhardt. Of course, Jimmy Johnson, part-time this year, but not going to be full-time for the foreseeable future, if ever again. And that number 29, the torchbearer for an awful lot of championship history. The 2001 Busch Series champion, he's been sponsored by Busch for the past few years in the Cup Series, so The Anheuser-Busch relationship with Kevin Harvick started very early, but Brad Kress right now doing it justice. There's going to be a bit of a slap there, and it looks like it's going to be Dylan Petit right with the number 10 machine of Robert Kenny. They all save it, but that could have been disastrous as Petit's able to get right by in the number 31. Looking on board with him, Dylan Petit makes it so 13 laps in at a 111. You can see Robert Kenny's right there, Chad Winstead, and the sun, while glowing, is slowly but surely setting here. So as it continues to set, drivers will have to think about how the night goes on. If you start the race well at Darlington, more likely than not, when conditions catch up to you, you won't be the fastest man at the end. Now, that's not always the way it goes, but we've seen in the real world before. The drivers who dominate in the beginning, well, they don't go all the way to the end quite often. Now, the Carolina Dodge US 400 was a second event Darlington used to run in the early 2000s. The Southern 500 was in jeopardy of being axed way back when, and Darlington was in a bit of trouble itself. But that second race, which was in the spring, well, they ran it with only the daytime. Of course, we saw in that race, it was a very overcast sky in 2003 for the most famous finish in Darlington history, but the Southern 500 is a day-to-night race, much like the one we see tonight. So a very different circumstance, of course, on iRacing, as Scott Willard chases down Alan Koonman. As it stands, your first stage break going to be at lap number 25, the next one going to be at lap number 50, and those will be without any yellow. So the top three guys out in front, as we see Caleb Morrissey now up into 7th. These guys, for the most part, playing it nice and smooth, as it's going to be Terry Brooks fighting now with the Corey Blevins machine one on the wall. That's going to be the man in that number. It looks like 54 and Kenny Brooks. No, it's going to be Matthew Rodriguez, and Rodriguez going to drift up, but he's got a lot of trouble with that car right now. Dylan Clark in the Fireball Talks NASCAR 19 makes his way back up into the top 20. And Colton Gardner in that number 18 machine now going to be able to make himself known in the number 18 spot indeed, but he's got a two-car fight right in front of him. Look at the roll ball here, as it looks like Dylan Clark now has a lot of pace coming into his machine, and the 5 gets oh so close to that back straightaway wall, the Boeing backstretch it's called now. But in the olden time of NASCAR, well, that was not at all the case. But the Darlington stripe, it's always been the case. Colton Gardner's going to be way in it this time by, gets Matthew Rodriguez through as a number 5 machine gets right to Chance Duckworth, and now going to go side by side. Flat Out he is going to be, and Ryan Potter's sponsor in Flat Out, well, it's going to be a bit of a reminder to keep it on the pedal here in Darlington, a one-group track. You want to be on the revs for just about the entirety of the night, and that seems to be what we're seeing for the guys in the back of the pack as well as the front. Terry Brooks that time by, now going to be able to be in the 14th spot. Casey Heschel is up there in 13th. Chad Winstead chasing down Robert Kenny here. Let's ride on board with the number 12 machine and see the telemetry. 5th gear at 8,700 revs. A minute ago is down about 1,000 revs. Keeps it about 1,200 down at the most. Gets down to 7,500. Then puts the power back down. Back and forth through 76, 7,700 revs. And then gets back on the power gear. And you can see full throttle front and back. And these egg-shaped oval, much less power in that 3rd and 4th turn. He has to get down to 4th gear to keep the power on it. And then getting back on his way. Now the thing about Darlington's turns, turn 1 and 2, going to be a much broader turn, a lot more room to get a momentum in, and it's going to be a monumentous occasion for a driver to get through there perfectly. Not a lot of drivers on iRacing can do that, and so far, 20 laps in out of 111, and we've done great so far, keeping it nice and clean out in front, and Alan Koonman, knowing just this, has put himself in a perfect position to lead to the stage break this time by. Koonman out in front, Scott Willard going to be in 2nd, and James McKee there in 3rd. Connor Holden going to be there in the 8th spot himself, and Dylan Petit going to be with Tyler Rush on Rush, though. Now Robert Kenny is, as Kenny goes high and gets it easily. And it's going to be Chad Winstead pulled right through in the sucker hole. The 72 machine falls down, and now Winstead makes his way up into 11th. Casey Heschel going to be there in position number 13. A quiet night for him, and Casey Heschel, one of those drivers you got to look out for every week. Even if you don't notice him very early, he comes in and he has those late race surges that he seems to be able to pull out of the bag any night of asking. And tonight is not going to be any different as long as he keeps himself in tow. The Menards number 49 machine has been there in that top 15 for quite a while right now, slowly but surely gaining. Is Adam Bozzi losing some time here, and looks like he loses about 2 seconds on this lap. Oh, and we're finding out why right now. And Bozzi there, the number 27 machine, just does not have a lot of power down, so it looks like he got a bit squirrely and saved it without going into the wall or anything. And while patient, it's going to cost him 1 spot. Dylan Petit going to go way down to the inside line, and that's what's going to cost him back again. The number 31 machine has to fly right back up high, and Dylan Petit seeing that Connor holding on himself as Caleb Morrissey now gets into the 6th, and Morrissey might be the fastest man in this battle outside of the top 2, top 3 guys, as right now these drivers in 3rd, 4th, 5th, they're about 2 seconds off of the men in the top 3. That time by Alan Kuhlman ran a 30.172, and Caleb Morrissey ran a 31.896. To put into perspective, this battle slows them all down. Darlington is a one-groove track. Going too wide there, going to be a big problem. Pong King coming in, rooting for Terry Brooks. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. It's almost a quarter of the way in, and now, with 1 lap to do it in the stage, Alan Kuhlman will be the man who leads them down to the white flag for the stage number 1. I don't believe we'll get a caution for this one as we come down. 1 lap to go in stage number 1. It's going to be Scott Wheeler chasing, but not enough just yet. As we look throughout the field at the moment, the man in that number 23, Terry Brooks, going to be 14th on the board, and he's a member of the key sponsor this league has, the ASE Services and Supply Incorporated, the title sponsor of this league and the title sponsor of tonight's race. We could not do it without them. Terry Brooks, an integral member of their crew. So right now running in 14th as Alan Kuhlman comes across the stripe to win stage number 1 here in Darlington. It's going to be a checkered and the green pattern going as Alan Kuhlman is your first stage winner of the night, and he's going to be on his way leading at lap number 25. Now up to lap number 26, he gets in the wall there, and it looks like Scott Wheeler has himself just a bit. And we'll look on to the rear chase camera courtesy of our own in-house camera development, and you will see that Alan Kuhlman takes it up to the higher side compared to Scott Wheeler there. Roberto Ramirez is going to be in 3rd, and as they keep it going, it's going to be Kuhlman able to drag himself right out of it, and then Scott Wheeler keeps himself in tow there in 2nd. Roberto Ramirez has 3rd place pace right now, but he started far outside of that top 3. He's 5 laps down as is. And while he's running a great race, we're learning from the best of them out in front. It seems like it just is not meant to be for him so far, as he's now going to go down to the inside line on Scott Wheeler and make it happen on him. Now, the thing is that Ramirez does have a 6-lap younger set of tires, and that is because the man in that number 42 machine is on the track for about 6 laps less overall. He's going to let Scott Wheeler go by that time by and slide right back up. As you can see, every inch of movement in these drivers using this close-up drone camera. They go high, they go low, they go wherever they want, and wherever they please seems to be wherever the momentum is, as Alan Kuhlman leads handily now over Scott Wheeler, who is battling the lap machine of the 42. Let him by, might have been an ill-informed decision, as now Scott Wheeler, slowly but surely, losing more and more time. And you can see that James McKee, who's in that 3rd spot, still oh so close. He started in 2nd, was only falling 1 spot down, so keep an eye on him as the night goes on. Not a bad run, not by a long shot. As a matter of fact, a pretty good one for any driver, as McKee's been the man to beat all season long. 2 wins at Daytona and Dover and Darlington, with a race name is going to be the Service Supply 150 Southern 150, but the track name is Darlington, so he could go 3 for 3 on his D's right now, as Scott Wheeler going to go side by side with Ramirez. Ramirez gets by, and it's going to be Ramirez going almost down and around that time by. He's able to keep it going, but he's going to be fighting as hard as he can to get by Scott Wheeler. Wheeler will not budge, and thankfully for both of them, no grudge will develop, no impact, no yellow, we keep it green. Dylan Clark goes down to the inside line on Dylan Petit, and the Dylan's battle is now going to be 15th for the man who started all the way back in 25th. So Dylan Clark has made his way back up many spots so far. He might be one of the fastest drivers outside of the leading battle. That time by a 30.5, only 0.2 of a second off of your leader and 1/10 faster than the man in 2nd. It looks like Dylan Clark, if we get an equalizer, would be one of those drivers to keep an eye out for. He's pretty far off his leaders, as is about 10 seconds back, but he's about as fast, and he is a very, well, how about we say it this way, calculated racer. We kind of lost it for a moment there. The calculation has always existed in motor racing. We are throwing it back to an era without the very complicated methods of calculation, such as the advanced spotter commands, the technology such as the in-house spotting, the crew chiefing, all the simulation technology we have today. None of it existed for the time of Terry Labonte, who, well, Dylan Clark is throwing it right back to. Labonte ran that very same paint scheme with Cornflakes and Kellogg's as his main sponsor for over a decade, winning his first championship in 1984 for the Piedmont Airlines number 44 machine. I believe that was Billy Hagan he was running for way back when. Hendrick Motorsports picked him up, and he went toe-to-toe with Jeff Gordon in 96 and got it done in an uncharacteristic year for Gordon and a very, very shocking year for Labonte, able to get it done 12 years, the gap between first and second championships, the longest for any driver in any NASCAR category thus far. And as it stands, well, that means back-to-back championships, or rather, the most two recent championships. His succession took him 12 years. Of course, a driver like Richard Petty had 15 over to 7, but a lot of championships within a much longer time span there, so a bit of a difference in terms of the categorization. Labonte, as competitive as he was, he fell out of favor by the time of 2003 and 2004. His final good run, I actually believe, came at Darlington. I believe it was a victory in 03 here in the Southern 500, was the Mountain Dew Southern 500 at that point, and he had the final top 10 points finish in 03, a driver who debuted in 1979 alongside Joe Milligan, Dale Earnhardt, a great star-studded field of rookies, and he went down with some flame in that tank. He was 10th on the board in 03, but fell off in 2004, not able to make the chase for the Nextel Cup, but right now, Dylan Clark chasing Tyler Rush, and Tyler Rush chasing Terry Brooks. And a lot of history between every driver in this field. Chad Winstead right now in 11th, and it looks like we're telling stories about every driver we see in their paint schemes right now, and their one and only opportunity to run these beautiful schemes. We'll get into it for Mark Martin. Martin, one of those drivers who showed up in the late 70s himself on the American Speed Association Tour, one of the fastest drivers there, began his career with drivers, or rather team owners, such as Rod Osterlund and J.D. Stacy. Now, a similar career path as Dale Earnhardt will start. Now, Earnhardt got lucky. He won his championship in 1980 to get him right onto the hot seat, and a lot of teams began calling for him as soon as. But Martin, not ready to break out big. He did start well in his first Nextel, or rather Winston Cup qualifying event, and it was a great few races to start his career, but it just didn't pan out. He went down to the ASA, had to build his career back up, and then Jack Rouse, the man who took him all the way to the Nextel era, well, he picked him up in 1989, and by 1990 they had the ball rolling and lost the championship by less than 40 points after a 40-point penalty for a lug nut, or rather not a lug nut, but a technical malfunction that was related to post-race inspection. Usually we see lug nuts lost there, but a championship was lost in the process. Martin ran this scheme in about 96, 97, I don't believe 98, and this was a time where Mark was about the second best man in the sport year after year. Jeff Gordon, just a little bit better time after time. Mark Martin, a competitive driver until 2013, where he scored his last pole position, the oldest man to do so in the Cup Series, as a matter of fact, and I believe not the oldest driver to win, that would be Harry Gant. But nonetheless, Martin had the opportunity to do so. He almost won that Daytona 500 in 2007, but for Roush Racing, his best memories were made, and this 34 machine, reminiscent of that beautiful number 6 that used to go out for contending for victories over 25 years ago, and right now contending for that top 10 spot. The man in the number 34 is getting closer and closer as the night goes on. He has the potential to make something happen here. Down to the inside line, and Terry Brooks goes, and up high stays Winstead as they go side by side, 38 laps in out of 111. Now going to make it 39, as you can see the 81 machine there of Connor Holden. Now, Connor Holden and Casey Heschel seem to have related paint schemes as we watch their battle right now, so we'll get into it both in the same way. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, you can see two different paint schemes from that same organization. The 49 machine looks like the original Dale Earnhardt Jr. paint scheme with the 3 lines of the Budweiser paint scheme, with Menards as a sponsor. Now, Paul Menard began his career with the Menards number 49 camp, not the 49 camp, but with the Menards DEI camp, as the 49 takes it down the back that time by following a battle between Brad Kress and Caleb Morrissey. And we can look now as the DEI drivers almost battling, as Terry Brooks not going to be there, but Kenny Brooks getting it right in the way of the 81 machine. And the 81, more of a throwback to Steve Park. Now, Steve Park, a very, very well-known modified driver up north in New York, one of the classic drivers in the modified scene way back when. He even got a win at the Battle of the Beach in 2013, but between his time in the modified world, he was a NASCAR driver to the National Tour, a winner multiple times over in the Cup Series, a great driver hampered by injuries, and he began his career with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated and spent most of his time there in that Pennzoil number 1, not the 81, before a ride swap with the AOL number 30 machine of Jeff Green, and he sort of rode out his years from there. Just wasn't able to be the same driver after his early on incidents in his career, hampered by injuries, was top 10 points in 2001, but before it all fell apart for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, and the loss of Dale Earnhardt was absolutely one of the things that set that team out of motion. As Casey Heschel, you can see the Menard sponsorship. Menard stepped on board for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated very late in 2006, 07, and 08. And by the time it was 2010, 11, or 12, they were merged with Ganassi, and Ganassi was making mergers left and right. Chip Ganassi Racing doesn't even exist anymore in the NASCAR Cup Series, of course. Trackhouse Racing bought up the assets. Sabatis left very early, and right now the 49 does battle with the 29 machine of Brad Kress. And then we speak of RCR, Richard Childress Racing. Brad Kress representing Kevin Harvick tonight, a very, very well-known driver, prestigious as we mentioned before, and now they go side by side for 10th, so let's go on to the racing here, as Heschel able to get by that time by, looking to go, the 49 on the move. And getting way up high there, the Coca-Cola barrier, he's only going to hit him. Now he's going to have a bit of a run, and that time by, Heschel was faster by 0.3 of a second than Brad Kress. So as we see some battles begin to formulate once again, it's not all about the reminiscing of the past, it's about the battles of the future, as right now most drivers are dispersed, and the closest battles are now out in front. Alan Kuhlman has led this one through and through, 44 laps in, and he looks set to win the second stage at this rate as he is going at. No caution so far. It has been some vintage racing. Very little caution for cause reasoning. Some drivers getting a bit out of control. Only 3 retirees tonight. Roberto Ramirez, Justin Gibbs, and Chance Duckworth. Jacob Hall is 4 laps down, and Jason Harris is 4 down as well. And a few drivers have gone 1 down. At that time by, it's going to be a big wiggle for Ryan Potter as he has damage. And Darlington starting to get the best of these drivers as Dalton Beer going to get passed, or rather passed by, as the Andrew Baker machine goes through. Matthew Rodriguez in the 51 trying to make it happen in his 51 machine. Now 26 seconds off as he gets to the wall that time by. Alan Kuhlman coming up closely on him. And if the number 51 machine is lapped this time by or next time by, there will be only a total of then 17 drivers on the lead lap. And Alan Kuhlman has been dominating all night long. Scott Wheeler not able to do all too much about it. And we'll ride on board with the man in that number 8 machine. TV shifts during that third and fourth turn. And we saw last time we went on board with the driver that they did in fact go down to the lower gear, and that was Tyler Rush, but it looks like a very early shift for Alan Kuhlman. He makes it seamless and then gets right back up on the power. He's getting closer and closer to Matthew Rodriguez time after time. Just about a flawless race for the man in the 8 machine as he holds on in first. 46 going to become 47 out of 111 so far in Darlington. All green all night long thus far, so absolutely no reason to get an interview so far. Every driver as concentrated as they possibly can be, and it has been all green all run through the 49 of Casey Heschel going to be there as well, putting on a great show for his campaign. He's going to be in 6th right now. Caleb Morrissey got up to the top 5, and now only 0.3 of a second adrift from Kendall Kerr, as right now they're getting closer and closer. It's going to be Caleb Morrissey going up just a bit higher. And Darlington, a very hard track to get momentum in, because every driver builds it up lap after lap and disperses it and uses it all down the back and the front. Now, when we talk about momentum at Darlington, it is as minute as we mentioned. You can go down to the inside line, try to get a good power run off to get a good exit, but the speed will not be as much as running that high side gives you more time in the banking, and that will give you more speed off the exit. Now, Caleb Morrissey does go down just a bit below the seam there, and that is an applicable racing line, but very few drivers choose to use it. It is seldom used in real competition because it's oftentimes just not viable. The way that things work in iRacing, it isn't often viable as well, but Morrissey trying everything he can. Desperate times meet themselves for desperate measures, and now it's going to be Alan Kuhlman making his way in for lap number 50 of 100. It'll be 1 lap to go in the stage as Chad Winstead going to try to pass him by, and Winstead went down for a pit stop about 1 lap ago, and he's going to be the first man to come in on strategy. 2 laps down. Well, it looks like on his run 2 laps down, but now he's going to be back on the lead lap, makes it so 50 in out of 111, and it's going to be all that Alan Kuhlman and Scott Wheeler put on the wheels on it, as Alan Kuhlman might just be able to win his second stage. Kuhlman sees that the 97 gets in the wall that time by, and Alan has not tapped it all night long. So how about this stage number 2 going to come his way this time by? How about that? And how about it indeed? Alan Kuhlman going to win stage number 2 on the night. Coming down the line, it is your stage 2 winner, no break, as he gets done with 2 stages in succession. Checkered and green is waving, and Alan Kuhlman wins stage number 2 on the night. Now stage 3 on its way. It's going to be 60 laps remaining for Darlington. And drivers beginning to come down pit road that time by. Ryan Potter going to make his way in, going all the way down, and Darlington is a very tricky pit entry, so playing it safe. That's his pit exit though. Potter going to be out 1 lap more down. He's going to be 3 laps down as is. Chad Winstead going to be in a bit of trouble coming down pit road again here, so not sure why that is the case. And it might be a penalty that he got due to his last pit stop. We'll see whether or not that's the case indeed, as now the 31 Dylan Petit and Colton Gardner in the 40 both are going to be in jeopardy. Dylan Petit more so, as we right up over the rear end of that number 31 machine. You could see Alan Kuhlman not even there, as Kuhlman got by as soon as we tried to get to it. And Alan, how about that? Now going to have himself in front of yet another driver, 60 laps to go. And this is all his race so far. As he comes out of the line this time by, he just has to keep it going. 59 laps to do it here, and no driver has been on his level. Alan Kuhlman, the man to beat, as Chad Winstead on pit road, and every driver barreling down in the back has been able to keep themselves intact. Now, less than that, and yet another driver in jeopardy of going one down. That would be the 76 machine of Jacob Hamm. Hamm, as is 4 laps down, not his best run, but unfortunately, Darlington takes a toll on a driver, and he did mention us, of course, in the broadcast chats very recently. Surgery, recovering from it, and Darlington is a very hands-on track, so the driver, like the 76 machine, recovering from such a surgery, I believe it was carpal tunnel, not sure if he mentioned that in specific. I feel a driver that did talk to us before did mention it. Surgeries, tough to recover from when it comes to the handwork, if it is any, and right now the 76 having a bit of trouble holding on as Jason Harris in 23rd, now makes it by Chad Winstead, and Winstead is now 4 laps down. I think he might just be done for the night at this race. One driver goes in, and that will be Tyler Rush, who's on the lead lap as is, but Alan Kuhlman going to pass him by that time by, and James McKee now looks to come in as well. And James McKee, the man who made the perfect pit stop gamble last time by at Dover, and the gamble for him was, well, not to come in at all. So tonight you do have to come in. It's been long enough a green flag run. No matter what, you do come in, even if you don't want to, even if you don't think you need to, you basically have to regardless, as the number 8 machine has to choose when to come into pit road, and of course why. Situationally, he's out in front, and nobody's been on his level so far. Scott Wheeler's more than a second behind him right now. He's catching up the lap cars even with new tires, and it seems like no matter where these drivers choose to go, there's nothing they can do. And the man in that number 8 machine, in Alan Kuhlman, is the A1 guy tonight, as still coming down the back. Fewer drivers are going to stay on the pit road, and now it looks like it's going to be Adam Bozzi, Brad Crest going in, Dylan Clark going to be there as well, and so is Terry Brooks. So going to be a 4-car gaggle going in that time by. Alan Kuhlman, though, going to be passing the number 54 machine in Kenny Brooks, and making his way right through the 8 machine. Gets moved, and 55 laps to do it. We passed the halfway point. Cross flags have waved here in Darlington, and Scott Wheeler going to be there in second alongside the Casey Heschel machine in third. Heschel right now going to be 6 seconds off the man in second, and the man in the lead, he's 8 seconds off, as now Robert Kenny goes out of pit road this time by, going to be on the move once again down the Geico restart zone, and as it stands, only 8 drivers on the lead lap, one of which going to be Connor Holdland, who's on the pit road, now 1 lap down. Now Robert Kenny's 1 lap down, but now Corey Blevins, 57 laps in on his set, is still going, trying to gamble to get 1 lead lap. We'll see how that goes, as right now Caleb Orsi comes in himself. He's in 5th as is. Let's see how the 6 machine comes out, as the final few will have to enter very, very soon down the bowling backstretch. Once again for Alan Kuhlman, he's 2.5 seconds up on Scott Wheeler, and this will not be the lap. However, for the man in the 97 machine, it just might be, and that it is. Casey Heschel not going to follow, but Kendall Kerr using the follow the 49 as the 13 machine, going to be the last driver to have a chance to decide, and it looks like that he will decide this time by whether or not he does or does not. And as it is, so far, it looks like there is no decision made. Coming down through turn 3 and 4, no commit line going to be made, and Blevins stays on track. Alan Kuhlman, though, going to be coming down to pit road this time by. Casey Heschel going to be able to take the lead if he gets there, unless he stays on the track as well. I do believe it's going to be Alan Kuhlman coming in and out as your leader. Casey Heschel this time by, we're going to be able to stay and get 1 lap led of the night, as Kendall Kirk is there in third. Corey Blevins going to be in 4th. Scott Wheeler's going to be in 5th right now. And it looks like Heschel leads that lap. Alan Kuhlman falls down into 3rd. He's still on pit road, entering his pit stall. And the sun has all but entirely set here. The sun, its glare is gone. It's still a slightly orange hue in the sky, but far, far less. And when we get down to that checkered flag, I'm almost certain it will be a pure night sky, and the lights will come out, not in the city, but in Darlington so far. 60 laps in, 52 laps to do it, and now we're getting down to stage race territory all over again in terms of lap distance. 52 laps to go, and this race has been an awful long one for some drivers, an awful short one for others. Alan Kuhlman, I'm certain, has not been tired of this one at all. He's 4th on the board so far, and nobody on his level. Keeping in my mind, he's going to be the first man one lap down, and now Matthew Rodriguez is going to be able to cycle in front, and so is Jason McKee. So this is going to be a big strategy maneuver as Jason McKee out in front of his teammate now. The 9 machine's going to be leading, and Alan Goodman, who has dominated this race, now has to get back on it. Scott Wheeler going to force him way down to the inside line, and now Wheeler's in front, and this changes everything as Jason McKee going to be out in front effectively. Corey Blevins is going to come into pit road that time by, so it's going to be up to James McKee on a 6-lap-old set to hold on. Kendall Kerr going to be coming down this time by, no, and Casey Heschel, we'll see as they come down the Boeing back straightaway if they choose to do anything about it as they come in one more time. Will they choose to go in 62 laps in on this run? It looks like Heschel not going to do so. Kendall Kerr, same scenario. He's going to stay on the circuit. And Jason McKee beats Scott Wheeler by 1.5 seconds. Then Alan Kuhlman going to be half a second back. And the shift in momentum, Alan Kuhlman, the man who's won both stages of the night, is down in 5th. And not what he wanted at all as a number 8 machine falls further and further back. And Jason McKee, as they all get cycled out, might be your race leader. And it looks like Kendall Kerr going to come down to this time by. And he's going to let Jason McKee get back on that lead lap. Casey Heschel going to be there in the 49, staying out of the circuit though. We'll see how long he chooses to stay as 49 laps ago will become 48 this time by. And he still holds on. But he is much, much slower than that of the man in the 3rd position. That time by, Jason McKee ran a 29.721 in traffic. And Casey Heschel ran a 30.955 with clean air. So if you want to see who's fast and who's slow, keep in mind the tires. Heschel has been on them for 64 laps solid. And now Kendall Kerr goes out of the pit road this time by. Will he be able to cycle out? I don't believe so, as Casey Heschel still leads him in by about a lap over the remainder of the field. Now Kendall Kerr going to be cycled out, and a few drivers are going to pass him. It looks like James McKee is going to get by him that time by. That he does. Then Scott Wheeler, and Heschel will get on his way as now the 49 gets pressure from Chad Winstead. And closer the leaders get. One driver goes down to the inside line. It looks to be Jacob Hall once more. And now Alan Kuhlman looking to chase down the 2 men he has been in front of all night long. He looks to be just a bit quicker than the man in that number 97, but that time by lost yet another 1/10 of a second. So Kuhlman, after all this dominated run, it looks like the fallacy or the logic of it will come down to the night sky, taking him out of contention. We always seem to say that at Darlington, if you're leading when the sun is shining, you won't be the man leading when it's all pitch black outside, and that's the case indeed, as now Kuhlman is going to be able to get right back up to Wheeler, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get up to James McKee. McKee could go back-to-back, as right now he's about a second up on the remainder of his pack. And now Casey Heschel going to fall back down through the field, and the running order going to be able to take him by surprise. The number 49 machine now going to be pressured by not 1 but 2 drivers, and that's going to be Heschel, of course, battling Wheeler and James McKee. We'll see how fast they get by him. And Wheeler's going to get right up to him. Quarter panel's going to go way down to the apron. Going to hit it. It's going to be a big slap for your leader. And that will not be a caution. 45 laps to go. The man who stayed out too long looks to suffer the consequences. Now Casey Heschel going to be a big load of trouble as he tries to limp it back around. The 49 machine gets way caught up in his own action. And checking it back 20 seconds. You can see he gets tapped there by Wheeler. And having none of it, Scott Wheeler going to send Casey Heschel down and in. He's still your race leader by 21 seconds. But this one was going to put a hamper on it, and when he gets back onto the circuit, inevitably, no fast repair. He will be damaged for the remainder of the race. He'll have to limp from here on out to get anything done, as you can see Heschel there in frame. 44 laps to do it. He's been able to hold on nice and smooth, but it looks like that damage will get to him, as he only has a 20-second advantage over James McKee. And that time by, McKee ran a 29.873. He gained about 6 seconds on your leader thanks to that incident, and now in striking distance when the race comes to its concluding stages. And for Casey Heschel to hold on to the lead, he would have to lose less than half a second every lap. And that's just to hold on. Maybe draft will play a factor as well. We don't know. So now James McKee has to think about this one big time as he holds on by about 2 seconds. And Alan Kuhlman now going to be in that 3rd spot. And he'll be effectively in 2nd whenever the man at that number 49 chooses to pit. And hopefully, for the case of the guys outside of that lead lap, it will be very, very soon, as currently only 4 men are on that leading lap. And 42 laps remain here in Darlington. The number 8 machine going to be out in front. It is Alan Kunman, who else but, as he's led almost the entirety of this race, but he's now down to the third on the board. He'll be second when the Casey Asher machine chooses to go to pit road, and this time by he does. He dives in and way deep there, and that's going to be it. 70-lap run for him, not enough to hold on, as James McKee keeps himself in contention here. He's out in front by about a second or so, and let's take a lap on board with the man in that number 9 machine, uninterrupted. See how it is within that number 9 Got Milk machine. And as it stands, James McKee is your new race leader by 1 second, but Alan Kunman once again appears to be faster than the entirety of the field. Take a look at this. Kunman, that time by, gained about 0.3 of a second, and now the gap is within 1.1 seconds. Chad Winstead going to be passed that time by your leaders, and Kunman getting closer and closer to the man out in front, and James McKee. Scott Wheeler going to be there in third. Alan Kunman going to be in second, and James McKee getting to the wall with their Dalton Beer. Beer's going to be in a lot of trouble. That's going to be a lap machine getting with the leaders, and now Dalton going to sway down to the inside line, almost indecisive, and Alan Kunman going to get right by it. Nonetheless, going to be a bit of a shaky stop there for the 38 machine. Not a pit stop, but a stop overall. Almost getting with those leaders that time by. Thankfully for them, nothing comes of it, and now he's going to be able to keep going. Alan Kunman does, as James McKee holds on strong in position number 1. Alan Kunman, though, going to be in second. Scott Wheeler going to be in third. Adam Bosey, position number 4, and now Brad Kress going to be in 5th in that number 5 Bearcat Motorsport machine. And Dylan Clark, as we said, if an equalizer ever came out, which it does not appear it will, he would have had a great shot at the win. He's 6th right now, on pace to get right with the Dylan Clark machine, of course, himself and Brad Kress. For a top 5 for a man who started outside the top 20, it appears to be possible, as the number 5 of Dylan Clark could go down to the inside line once again on Brad Kress, and tries to make it so. Right now, single file, but he is in tow, and now going to try to make a lunge there on the 29 machine. Will it work? It might just. Chevy on Chevy this time by. Kress on the wall. They're going to give him a lot of room, give and take, but it looks like it's going to be a take for the number 5 machine. Down to the stripe that time by side, and it's going to be a turn. The number 29 machine. Brad Kress is going to be around, and he's going to go spinning. Will it be a caution? It looks like everyone's going to keep going, but Brad Kress going to be sterned all the way around. No caution going to fly, but big time tempers there, and the 29 goes down and around, and as we saw them battling side by side, it looks like it was going to be a bit of netcode that started it, but they definitely did make contact at the end, and the 29 gets absolutely disposed of there, and Kress down, perhaps not out, a bit of rear end damage, as that number 29 machine going to get in a lot of trouble for his own race, and we'll see how they respond to Dylan Clark on that one. 36 laps to go, and yet another driver goes around, this time by not going to be a lap car and a leader, as Kress back on the move, now 1 lap down in 11th, as Dylan Clark still holds on in 5th here. We'll see if anything happens. It looks like now going to be able to get himself up into 5th, that number 5 machine does, as James McKee holds on in 1st, but now Alan Kunman right on him with the Scott Wheeler machine, and it looks like Kunman able to make every lap a recovery lap, and now 5-lap younger tires, the youngest in this battle, might be able to work out in his favor. 35 laps to distance here as they come through once again, rounding the back and now up to the front. The Geico restart zone, they pass it. That's going to be a big restart for Alan Kunman as he gets closer and closer to passing his teammate this time by. Will he be able to do this time by? We will see, though, as it looks like for now, he'll be able to think better of it and hold on right in tow with the number 9 machine. And Blacktop Racing positions 1 and 2 on the board so far. And you can see going way up high, it's going to be James McKee right there trying to get a good exit, but it looks like not going to work at all. Consolidated, it's going to be the number 9 machine now side by side with his teammate here. And as they round that turn, Alan Kunman makes it by with force, and a new race leader as they battle for second right behind him. Kunman gets out in front, and look at him go. That's Alan Kunman, your new race leader, with 33 laps to go. The old Dominator has a new trick under his sleeve and gets it back as the sun continues to set. And how about it, indeed, the throwback to the 8 machine out in front, and not Mountain Dew tonight, but Tire Pros. He seems to be a professional of using his tires as tire management. He seems to be king of it indeed. Now going to be 32 laps to do it, and Alan Kuhlman holds on out in front. The remainder of the pack just has to wait and see what they can do as Scott Wheeler gets by for second, and James McKee falls back to his original running order spot of third. Adam Bozzi is 9 seconds behind the top three guys. No way for him to pass anyone there. He will stay back in that fourth position as Dylan Clark holds on strong in fifth, and then Robert Kenny keeps himself in tow in position number 6. Kendall Kerr, though, going to be in 7th, and Terry Brooks there in 8th. It looks like Kendall Brooks is going to fall on the wayside as Caleb Morrissey losing a lot of spots on this run. He was up to the top 5 for a moment, but now falling almost out of the top 10. He's in 9th, and the lap car buffer keeps him there in the top 10 as Connor Holden holds on for that 10th and final spot on your lead lap. And the man you're looking at right now, that's Corey Blevins, the last man, or rather the first man on the lead lap, the last man to have been one lap on that leader. And it looks like right now the 8 machine gets by, and you can see no more sunlight, and it seems like the night sky coming into effect. And we were, of course, hoping not to see as many cautions as we saw in the IORA Cup Series earlier tonight at Atlanta. If you're watching with us there, thank you for stopping by and following us through. But in addition, we did not expect for the first 82 laps of this event to have gone all the way green, and 22 laps on this stint already will be 52 for Alan Kuhlman if he goes all the way, and it seems like he might just be able to do it on a one-stop run. The stands are packed for Kuhlman right now as he continues to lead the field down without much of a hassle. Nobody been on his level thus far, and 29 laps to do it. Alan Kuhlman right there. Dylan Clark going to be in 5th, Adam Bozzi 4th, and now the top 2 guys are now going to be 2nd and 3rd as Alan Kuhlman gets by the both of them. Wheeler able to put the wheels on and run right away from James McKee. Dylan Clark still way back there as he's going to be without any driver to battle with, as the closest battle of the racing circuit appears to be between the drivers in positions number 2 and 3. 2nd and 3rd going to be the closest on the track that are actually battling for a spot, as lap cars might be closer to one another, but so far the number 997 were closer. But now it's going to be a lot of trouble for James McKee here, as now it seems like Corey Blevins getting closer and closer to him there, and Blevins has that third place fighting right there with that number 9, but it looks like the beginning of this run just not his way, and Corey falls down 1 lap, and he will be there perhaps until the end of this race the way it's going, as Alan Kuhlman continues to put a tear on the field, and he might be able to catch up to Connor Holden as the night goes on. Holden as is 22.7 seconds back on Alan Kuhlman. A lap around Darlington looks to be about 30 seconds right now. The track is getting darker, the temperatures are dropping, and as a result, despite the tires wearing, the tires, well, wear won't impact the laps as much as what we saw before. It looks like more and more Alan Kuhlman will be able to put on a 10th if he loses one, and that disparity in tires is being balanced out by the advantage that he has with that colder track surfaces. The surface gets much colder as the night goes on, and he'll be able to keep himself in winning contention. 26 laps to do it here as Alan Kuhlman stays with Scott Wheeler. James McKee there in 3rd. Adam Bozzi going to be in 4th, but 26 to do it, and it still looks like the man who's been leading since lap number 1 has it made. Of course, it ain't over till it's over. He has to run until all the way the tail end. And how about it in the Highline Racing League ASC Premier Series? A bit of a break here. If you enjoy the action, be sure to join our official Discord link. Scan the QR code on your screen or join the link in your description for the official Fireball Talks NASCAR YouTube server. The opportunity and the one-stop shop for all our broadcasted leagues if you want to join them, and all the behind-the-scenes information of whenever we go live on FDN for the Highline Racing League and the IORA Cup Series, the FORL Cup Series, and the Broadcasting League, the Integrity Racing League, the Stock Car Racing League, and the Full Sense SuperSpeedway Series, as I do believe very, very soon coming to FTN, the Highline Racing League Development Series will be coming soon to every viewer on this channel. So if you want more Highline Racing League action, including your favorite drivers such as Alan Kuhlman, check it out very soon. At 24 laps to go, we're getting closer to April when everything begins for our secondary series in the Highline Racing League. But the Premier Series always bringing together a great show, and right now, out in front, the show's been Alan Kuhlman all night long. James McKee being caught up to by the man in that number 13 time after time. Corey Blevins getting faster and faster and faster, and now separated by just about 10th or 2 at the very most. As you can see, the 13 getting right by that number 9. Got milk. Well, look, he's got a lot of pace, but it's going to begin to fade. It's almost like he's used all his supply. Unfortunately, the pace in that number 9 machine might be wearing out, but one thing that isn't wearing out are use of the best cameras on iRacing. 22 laps to go. You know what that means. Our TrackCams22.com. Crank it up. Track cams for gourmets, the best cameras on iRacing. If you enjoy the product, be sure to go down to the link in the description for more information. We'll be right back as we crank it up live on FTN. And as we get right back to it with 18 laps to go, Alan Koeman is still out in front by a wide margin here with 95 laps now in the books. It'll go down to 17 laps to go. Koeman, the man on the mission, and this could be the best race he's ever had in this league. He's led what would be over 100 laps if he gets out of the stripe as your leader from here on out. 2.5 seconds up on the man in second and James McKee, and then Scott Wheeler is falling all the way back and now is behind McKee. It looks like something happened to him there, and he has a bit of that right side damage, and the stripe at Darlington has taken him over, and now that 97 has a bit less speed in it. He's 12 seconds ahead, or rather 7 seconds ahead of Adam Bozzi, as Bozzi right now is 12 seconds behind your race leader, so keep that in mind as the season goes on, and rather the race goes on, as Adam Bozzi, while behind Alan Koeman, also behind the man in James McKee, and that's a man you want to keep an eye on all season long. That number 9 machine, the season points leader with 2 wins on the season thus far, and he'll be able to cement that points lead with a second place finish to his teammate tonight, and one of the best guys to do it here, James McKee, and with the Blacktop Racing teammate out in front, you know he's secure for yet another great finish, and Alan Koeman there with him. It's going to be 8 and 9, 1 and 2 for the Blacktop Racing operation, and Kendall Kerr going to be the third man tonight as he is currently in 5th. So 3 drivers in the top 5 is Brad Kress right now in a bit of trouble following the incident he got involved in. He is now down to 13th, but he was running up in the top 5 beforehand, so it could have been all of their drivers, all 4 of which in that top 5 if things had went their way earlier in the event. But still a great race for the team as a whole, and we'll see how it goes on from there on out, because thus far 6 races in the championship hunt. They made just about a perfect start on the season, and 14 laps to do it here at James McKee. Not in sight, but right now Casey Heschel chasing down Alan Koeman here. And Casey Heschel on a 26-lap old tire run, going to be faster and able to get right by your leader, but it won't mean all too much as he is way far out of that leading battle, and there is no battle for the lead right now. I'll have to take that one back. Alan Koeman, the dominator all night long, and it looks like in the Services and Supplies Southern 150, might just be able to come home as the race winner. Victory getting nearer and nearer and nearer. 99 laps in out of 111, and when we could have anything happen here, a yellow flag seems less and less likely, and any chance to derail the progress and the incredible racing that Alan Kuhlman has experienced in his own right, it looks like it will be very, very minimal. The chances for victory for him grow and grow as we head to lap number 100 this time by, and right now the closest battle of the circuit going to be Brad Kress right now. As you can see, Scott Wheeler right now fighting, as a matter of fact, with the man in the 81. That time by, Connor Holden gets the better of him, and Holden able to hold himself right there in the battle. As you can see, now Scott Wheeler losing time to lap machines, although that time by able to slide right back up. Now they're fighting side by side, and Holden gets it done for a moment, but now it's going to be all up to Brad Kress, as Kress gets that spot on the 81, and now Connor Holden going to be a bit of trouble. Two drivers pass him, but one driver passes him for position at the same time, and now 11 laps to do it here in Darlington, and you can see out in front, Terry Brooks going to be in 7th, Dylan Clark is in 6th, and Kendall Kerr rounds up the top 5 so far. The top 5 staying stagnant for the most part, every driver in it having a great run, and it takes a lot of persistence and consistency to have a run just like this. A battle for the lead. We have not seen all too much of it since that pit stop, and Alan Kuhlman with 10 laps to go leads from Darlington, and what a man he's been. It's 11 laps to go right now, becoming 10, and you can see nobody's going to be in frame. Clean air, clear skies, and Alan might be able to come up with the first win of the season. And he's been closer and closer week after week, putting that power in, putting the work in, and putting all the effort and determination in this number 8 camp has given him an opportunity to shine, and this could be it, as he's coming out of single digits here and now. Kuhlman makes it 9 laps to go, and James McKee there in 2nd, 4 seconds back. Not yet, he's going to be 3 back though, as Scott Wheeler becomes 6 seconds behind his man in 1st. The 8 machine, the 9 machine, and the 97 drivers who battled for victories and championships before, and you saw a lot of them up in front last season. This season no different though, but Wheeler having a bit of trouble holding on. He's in 3rd right now, but closer and closer Adam Bozzi becomes, as Bozzi now going to try to get to Connor Holden very soon, as he's about 0.3 of a second faster per lap on average. That time by only 100th faster, and we'll check back this time through. As you can see, Dalton Beer going to slide right off of Scott Wheeler that time by 31.091 for Wheeler, and now going to be Adam Bozzi a 30.818, and that's the 0.3 deficit we saw from Wheeler time after time before. Now less than 5 seconds separated them with 8 laps to go. And while for the case of the number 27 machine, it's an unsustainable drive to get up to Scott Wheeler, it's still evident that Adam Bozzi has a trick up his sleeve if we ever go back to Darlington with these next gens, although chances are going to be slim for that, as the Gen 4 stock cars are set to take over as the Premier Series vehicle after the season. I'm getting ready to see some good old 2000s racing at a good old track from way before the 2000s. Next time we head to Darlington, it could be just that, as down to the inside once again, 6 laps to do it for Alan Kuhlman, the man out in front all night long. And the stands are still packed while it is the night sky. The sun has entirely set here in Darlington, and the 8 machine looking to put a sunset on his night. And it is going to be a cap off to absolutely incredible racing. Almost 100 laps led already, and we are not done with this event. No caution all night long. You can see Kendall Kerr there, Adam Bozzi going to be in 4th, Scott Wheeler in 3rd, James McKee in 2nd, and Dylan Clark now down to 6th, as Kendall Kerr gets it right by him. And now Terry Brooks going to be fighting with Casey Heschel in position number 7. Heschel getting closer and closer to Dylan Clark there. They're all getting close, as now Clark there with the Brooks machine, and Dylan Clark running great all night long, looking to lose a bit of pace that time by, 0.3 slower than Terry Brooks, so it could come back to bite him very late so far. Darlington, South Carolina providing us late race action, and it seems like now the 23 getting oh so close. The man in that number 5, keep an eye out as they all begin to battle for the final time. And Terry Brooks goes down to the inside line. You can see the tires are absolutely worn out on that number 5. With 5 laps to go, we just have to make it there. He gets a better exit than Terry Brooks that time by, but the entry was a big-time loss, and that loss, you don't want to see it. And it seems like the number 5 machine, despite everything, sees it time and time again, getting into the corners. It is his kryptonite right now, and the 5 getting more and more time displaced from his advantage, and it's going to be a disadvantage as the night goes on, as now 4 laps to do it in this battle, and Dylan Clark runs up the track every time. It looks like a bit more of a calculated and controlled method for Terry Brooks, as these two cars so close to each other in frame. You won't even believe it that Alan Koopman now there with 10 laps passed and 3 laps to go, as Koopman holds on in first, and he's going to be able to make it 2 laps to go before those drivers get back to their 3. How about it? Caleb Morrissey in jeopardy of going 1 lap down. He's just a few seconds ahead of the man out in front. So absolutely domination as he comes out of the line once again. That's going to be Alan Koopman making it so with 2 laps to go. An unbelievable performance for the number 8 machine, as you could see, soaring up and down the circuit, flying by every single billboard, every single advertisement, immune to everything it seems like he has been, as Caleb Morrissey now going to be the next man to be passed in that number 8 machine. How about this as they keep it going? Caleb Morrissey going to be 9, Jason McKee in 2nd, Scott Wheeler in 3rd, Adam Bozzi going to be in 4th, and then Kendall Kerr in 5th, as Alan Koopman going to make it 1 lap to go. Here from Darlington, the Southern 150, been in his hands all night long. No caution, no incidents, besides a few spins. It's going to be 1 win if the 8 machine's able to trotter it back. Dylan Clark now going to be behind the man in that number 23. Terry Brooks going to be there as well. Casey Asher way off this battle, we keep it in mind. But as it is, it's going to be all about the man in that number 8. Domination from the first lap and down to the last. It's going to be the man in the number 8 machine, and Alan Koopman winning the Services and Supply Southern 150 in Darlington. A caution-free show, and it's all about talent, as Alan Koopman had what it takes to win Throwback Night this year in the Highline Racing League. And 111 laps of pristine racing, nobody on his level. Koopman gets it, and no other driver had what he had all night long. Unbelievable job for the man in the 8 machine, winning as his teammate comes up to give him a nudge. Alan Koopman getting ready to burn it down here in Darlington. A celebration worth the while, as no driver so far has put together a show like that all season long. It's going to be Alan Koopman's victory over James McKee there in 2nd, Scott Wheeler in 3rd, Adam Bozzi 11 seconds off in 4th, and then Kendall Kerr, who rounds out the top 5. Terry Brooks finishes in 6th with Dylan Clark in 7th. Casey Ashel goes out in position number 8, and Caleb Morrissey 9th, the final man to lap on the lead lap, as Robert Kenny 1 lap down, your first man behind the lead lap. Then it's going to be Corey Blevins 11th, Brad Crest 12th, Connor Holden 13th, Dylan Petit 14th, Dalton Beer 15th, Andrew Baker in 15th, now 16th, as it's going to be then Chad Winstead in 17th, Jason Harris 18th, Kenny Brooks 19th, and Jacob Holm in position number 20. From there on out, it's going to be Colton Garner 21st, Matthew Rodriguez 22nd, Tyler Rush, Ryan Potter, Roberto Ramirez in 25th, and finally, Justin Gibbs, Chance Duckworth, and Dylan Body getting it done in style from Darlington. And now the number 8 machine getting ready to burn it one down, winning in dominating fashion from the Lady in Black. And Koopman on his way, taking a victory lap here. And it looks like a Polish victory lap in part. He gets it a bit revved up once again. And as you could see, the number 8 machine getting ready to come to the front stretch once again. Sun has set, and Alan Koopman makes it worth the while. And it looks like with that being said, he backs it up and keeps it going. And that will be it. Alan Koopman's burnout done, but this race going to live on for quite a while. The Southern 150, and leading just about every lap he could possibly lead. The number 8 machine from the jump had something going, and he had something going well. How about that for Alan Koopman in the 8, winning by a dominating margin here in Darlington? How do you feel after this one?
I'm tired, more out, but I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited.
And a great race for you there. Very few drivers able to keep up with you all night long. No cautions, no brakes, and you put it to work every single lap. Even if you got out of that tire run a bit later, you had it going and powered back through to get out in front. How was it navigating the strategy all night long?
Everything went pretty smooth. I knew that as long as I could pit near the same time as Wheeler did, um, I'd still be in it through the rest of the race, and everything just worked out well for us. I just practiced patience and brought it home.
And able to bring it home nice and smooth tonight. How about that? Now, when it comes to the tires at Darlington, it did get much darker, so the temps did drop on the circuit, but tire wear and degradation mattered oh so much. So, what was your plan with that in mind?
Just take it easy. I've always been pretty good at saving tires here at Darlington, which is crazy because this track surface is so worn out. So I just did what I've always done, and it worked out pretty good, especially after the one pit stop we had. My tire wear was much better than my teammates, at least, because that's the only ones I got information from after the pit stop. So it worked out for us.
And working out quite well for the Blacktop Racing organization, all four of which were running in the top 5 by the cycle conclusion. Now, great run for you, James and McKee coming home, I believe, in that podium as well. So teamwork working out very well for you guys. A 1-2 finish. Did the teamwork really make the difference there?
Yeah, it definitely did. From the start of the race, the first corner, all the way down to after that pit stop cycle. So yeah, teamwork makes the dream work.
And making the dream work indeed. How about that? James McKean second, but Alan Kuhlman, his teammate, humming home in first. Any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add?
Just want to say I'm proud of everybody for going caution free at Darlington of all tracks. It's the track too tough to tame, and that's pretty surprising to go caution free. So shout out to all the guys who showed up tonight and made that happen. And just want to give a shout out to my teammates. Two wins for the team in a row, and a 1-2 finish.
And a 1-2 finish led by the man to the number 8 machine, throwing it back to Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8. Nonetheless, different driver. Still, the talent's there. Winning at Darlington, the Southern 150. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
And there we have it, Alan Kuhlman on his way, the number 8 machine out on top, as James McKee, who won last time we went racing, coming home in second here, and it seemed like the Blacktop Racing organization out in front, head and shoulders tonight, and you were part of just that. How was it from your end tonight in Darlington?
It was fun for about the 10 laps that I got to lead, and then after that, I didn't like it. That 8 car was a little too fast tonight.
And it certainly seemed like Alan Kuhlman had it going well, but that pit cycle, you had the edge at the moment, or what the moment was at the very least. And with that moment being said, what was the game plan for you as it looked like a bit different from Alan's strategy overall?
That was the only shot I had, was to pit before him by a lap or two and try to get a big enough lead to run away, and then maybe him and Scott to get caught behind lap traffic, which it held off for, like I said, 10 or so laps, and then he was too fast. He knew how to save tires really well here, and after that pit stop, I burnt my right front up too much, and it just wouldn't turn. So same thing happened on that last run.
And it seems like that last run, of course, wearing out tires, even though the track temperature and the track condition changed greatly. You think the sunset had any impact on how the track ran for you guys?
I couldn't tell. I thought it felt the same as before the first pit stop. It just, the first 20 or so laps felt really, really good, and then after that, coming off of 2, it just started plowing. You just use that right front tire too much to turn, and that was all she wrote.
And it seems like it all changed with those tires going away, but nonetheless able to come up with yet another very consistent finishing order. It's going to be second night following a win. So Michigan up next, going to be very soon. So what's it going to take to win at our second, I actually believe our second indeed, super speedway on the season, the 2-mile track, not full throttle, but certainly going to be a real fast experience.
It's just got to be faster next week. Michigan's typically a good track for me. I've said that about some other tracks before, and then I end up having a terrible run, but we'll see when we get there. But I love that track. I look forward to it, and we'll try to keep this momentum going.
And trying to keep the momentum going, indeed. James McKee, second on the board tonight. Any final thoughts?
Nope, just want to thank you. Awesome broadcast as always. Big congrats to Alan, great teammate. Blacktop Racing, we've had a lot of good weeks this season, so hoping to keep it up, and we'll see if we can go grab another checkered flag next week.
And looking for checkered flags, oh so close tonight, James McKee on the level of his teammate, Blacktop 1-2. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And how about that for the man in the number 9 machine, but the 97, the final man on the podium. And look at the tail end, a bit of damage, but nonetheless a podium position, running away for the remainder of the field. But the top 2 just were the ones that got away. Scott Wheeler, how was the night in the Southern 150?
It wasn't too bad. Darlington's really not my favorite track. I think honestly it's probably my least favorite as far as ovals go, but not too bad. Just really tight racing, obviously. So just make it to the end and able to get a good finish.
And a great finish indeed as a one-stopper for every driver up in front. And at the moment there, you had a bit of an edge on the eventual race winner, Alan Kumman. So a bit of a shifting strategy on who came in and when drivers came in. So what was the game plan there, and why did you choose that lap in the undercut compared to the overcut?
I had just seen how the other guys are coming up through the field. At one point, I think I got passed by I think Brad or something like that, and he was miles faster. So just trying to get any edge I could. Really, Alan was way faster tonight, so it worked for a little bit, and then just didn't end up playing out the way it needed to.
And it all played out just a bit different from planned. A bit of damage at the tail end there, so it looks like that might have affected the pace at the tail end, losing one spot to the number 9 machine, but not losing much else. So how was it with that damage? Because it seems like certainly getting caught up to with the remainder of the pack.
Yeah, it definitely messed up the toe. I had looked back at it. It was all net code, so not much you can do there at a track as narrow as Darlington. Net code's really the worst thing that could happen. So thankfully we had built a pretty good gap, and I was able to just manage at that point, but it definitely affected how the car ran.
And everything coming into factor tonight, but nonetheless, third in Darlington. Now Michigan going to be next. What's it going to take to come home on top of the 2 Miles SuperSpeedway?
It's hard to say. I'd imagine it probably runs like Auto Club, and I haven't raced there with this car. So good qualifying, just timing the runs right. I think it'll kind of be like a mini super speedway. I'm excited for that and the rest of the schedule. Some of these tracks, the past 2 haven't really fit my style, but the upcoming ones, I feel like we have a pretty good chance, and hopefully we'll get a win.
And looking to put the power down for the 97 machine in Scott Wheeler. Any final thoughts? Anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I just want to thank my teammates. Caleb, obviously, tonight and last week. It's been us 2 holding it down. Austin's got some things going on, and Scott is, starting his family and taking care of that. So congrats to those guys. But, everybody that puts on the lead, we did a great job the last 2 weeks, keeping it clean. Caution-free tonight at a track like Darlington's impressive in its own. Kendall, Toby, they do everything to make this happen, and it was a really cool night with the throwbacks. So just thanks to everybody. I know Body painted a lot of them too. So just a whole group effort to make this happen every week.
And a team effort indeed, and holding it down for the 4 horsemen. Scott Wheeler coming home third of the night. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
There we have it. Scott Wheeler going to be on his way. That's your final podium interview. And Scott Wheeler, of course, in third, but coming out on top, Alan Kumman in the 8. How about that for the man on top with the Tire Pros number 8, winning the Southern 150 in the Highline Racing League caution-free. And it was not free of absolute awesome racing action. Gotta thank every viewer watching tonight. This was a great show put on by the Highline Racing League once again. We'll be back with Michigan next Thursday night. The next time we're live will be a double on Saturday with the All-Star race in the Full Send Super Speedway Series, in addition to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a Stock Car Racing League Red Line Truck Series. We hope to see you there. Thank you all for watching live on FDN. We'll be back whenever we're live once more. Thank you once more. We hope you have a great night.